So the title track is Unbreakable. I think we named the album that because it is really identifies a true rock and roll warrior. It certainly identifies what most of us go through in life. You know, no one is immune from pain, from learning lessons, from growing up, just all the transitions of life. And I think I'm certainly an artist who's been through stuff. So is Scott Soto. Our band has, always has growing pains. And I think the opening line, you tried to break me, you tried to break me and then forsake me. I was the mirror staring back at you. I think that line right there identifies everything that this album is about.
It perfectly represents the sound and the energy of the band, and personally it represents the direction I wanted to take. A mix of heavy groove and technical passages where the drums aren't just supporting the rhythm but play a central expressive role.
Early morning, we get into the studio, play a bunch of riffs. The riffs are pretty heavy, pretty mean. And so the title of the song, S-O-A-B, suddenly means son of a bitch. And we all have a son of a bitch in our life. So that's, the song is really, angry, energetic, and it's, heavy, and it's a headbanging song, from top to the bottom. Do you have to explain something else to the title, the son of a bitch? Enjoy that and, yell at your favorite son of a bitch of your life. Your daily son of a bitch, okay? Enjoy that.
I started playing with David Ellefson 3 years ago for the first of the Bass Warrior tours. And it's been quite easy to step in and doing one of the solos for the song Son of a Bitch because of my interplay with Andy Martongelli. We played several shows together with David, so we knew each other very well. And it's quite amazing to hear my solo after his one, because we have two completely different styles, and I think we complement each other in a nice way.
The song Shout, once again, it's a double entendre lyric. You listen to the song, you hear the traditional rock anthem like Shout at the Devil, or something like I Wanna Rock, where it's just a chant and the big football choir, or the whole gang singing the big screams and shouts in the choruses and all that. Everybody always talks about the state of the world, the state of their country, the state of their city, their state. They don't realize that these issues have been going on since way before we were even born. And they'll continue going on just because the human race, it's not perfect. Everybody has their issues. They have their things they have to get through. But for the most part, we find a way to coexist. We find a way to get through tomorrow. We find a way to get to the next level of where we need to be as a human race. So the song Shout is pretty much about that. It's got the anthem, the rock anthem. It's got the sing-along kind of thing, but it also has a little more important message than just a traditional party, happy, fun kind of song. And I wanted to have both of those items as far as something that's sing-along, something that's happy and exciting. But on the other hand, if you really take time and read the lyrics, you'll see that it's a little deeper.
Let's go! Hate You, Hate Me, it was actually one of the very first songs we wrote for this record. It was part of the initial writing session that me and Andy did in Wembley. And, and I really want to give a shout out to our friend Alessio from Rogue Recording Studios. There's a special magic in that room. We would get together, we would just write songs, and we didn't even know what we were going to do with them or where they were going to go. We just started writing, cataloging. And initially, this song actually had a full death metal chorus. Andy Martongelli stepped up to the mic just to kind of outline a vocal, and we were laughing our heads off. I was like, dude, maybe you should be the singer of the death metal parts of this, That kind of started with I guess in my lifetime, it started with Bachman Turner Overdrive, right? There was a clean and a dirty guy, and then with Kiss, it was Gene and Paul, and then, you know, you move into the modern day, and it was Bullet for My Valentine, and you know, the modern movement has usually a clean vocal and a really heavy death metal vocal, you know. So even before we knew that we would, you know, put it together as the Ellefson-Soto record number 2, this was a really fun song to write. You know, the lyric of "Hate you, hate me." It's you know, "Hate you, hate me. Why do you want to hate me?" You know, really, it says it right very plainly in the chorus. You know, why do you want to hate me, man? What's up? You know, can't we drop the hate? You know, why can't we get along? And if we can't get along, can't we just sort of have a truce and walk away? You know, it's one of those kind of things in this day of, you know, stalkers and, you know, people that just, you know, refuse to like let something go and you know, nobody wins, you know. So it's like there's two ways to win in tug of war. One is to drag the person over the line, and the other one is to drop the rope, drop the rock, if you will. So that's what this song is about. Hate you, hate me. Poison Tears is a really special song to me. In a lot of ways, when I hear it now, it harkens back to some of the work that I did in the 90s with Megadeth, especially around maybe, say, the Euthanasia record, which had this kind of cool, really heavy, haunting, mid-tempo type of mentality around it. And I love the sound of it. It sounds heavy. It's got a lot of weight to it. I love the riffs. To me, they're cleverly simple, but very effective. And to have a great guest on it, Laura Goldemond from the band Burning Witches, I thought was a really great blend of voices with Jeff, and that they trade off on the verses and then come together on the choruses. They have a really great sound to them. And I love combining some of the European singers and getting them involved, because there's kind of this power metal movement that is largely led and driven by female artists and female singers. So I think to have her be a part of this, she's a fantastic voice. She really put the time in on it, and I think the collaboration speaks for itself, and it really makes for a beautiful love story that needs both the male and the female voice together in order to properly tell the story. So to me it's a standout track on the record now that I listen to it back, and something I'm super proud of.
We were jamming at Rogue Studios, and you know, we were on a songwriting session, so everybody was jamming. You know, me and David were jamming. You know, Alessio, the sound engineer, was jamming on the drums, and during one of the 1,000 coffee breaks, you know, the daily coffee breaks that we have, you know, we're Italian, so that's what we do. You know, we drink coffee and play guitar. So David enters, you know, the studio and says, "Andy, what's that? What's that riff? You know, oh, it's something that I play, you know, every time when I do sound check, you know, during the songs, during, you know, when I'm on tour. So, oh, definitely, this is gonna go on the album. So let's go. You know, 1, 2, 3, the song already is shaping up. It's dark, it's heavy, it's very melodic, and I even come up with one take of the intro, and kind of very neoclassical, very flamenco, and so we keep that as it is. We keep adding arrangement to make it more dramatic and to make it more like a, you know, scary, creepy. So yeah, it goes as that dark, melodic, scary vibe that we all live for.
Drums were recorded in Italy at Studio by Roberto Priori, and together we worked very closely, diving deep into every detail to achieve the best sound possible. And for me, it was a meticulous process. You know, I did a lot of research, testing, and experimenting to really shape the final result.
Everything on this new album is a collaborative effort between David, Andy, and myself. I hate calling him Andy. His name is Andrea. So when they send me songs, they don't just send me an empty canvas and say, go for it, do what you do. Like most things that I do, I would get songs with maybe Andy putting a scratch vocal, an idea of like melodies or just ideas in general. He doesn't like to just send the songs without, if he's got something that's swimming in his head, sometimes he would even send me 2 versions with 2 different ideas, say pick the one you like and you can vamp off that. And I personally like that. And David's the same. He's actually a good wordsmith. So he'll sit down and craft lines or titles, and he kind of gives me themes and kind of gets the whole thing started for me. So by the time I get it, these guys are giving me ideas that they feel would fit for the song, but clearly they know when I put my hands on it, it's going to turn into something else. And I love that way of working, because not only it is truly a collaborative effort between all of us, but it kind of alleviates me having to come up with something that I think is going to be the strongest representative for each song. So the song Vengeance, pretty much every song on this album has thematically, lyrically, they kind of have the same kind of aura about them. And David's mentioned this before on the actual first single that we put out there, Unbreakable. The first 3 lines of that song pretty much tell you what the entire album's about, the themes on this album. Vengeance itself, yeah, it could actually be applied towards 1 or 2 people that we've worked with in the past, but it applies towards other things, and I don't like giving that away. I'd rather the listener try to figure it out. So that's what's going on with Vengeance.
Snakes and Bastards. With this song, we wanted to pay tribute to the amazing Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. We want to pay tribute to Motorhead, and you know, it's a party song. It's it's full of energy. It's punky. It's rough. The riffs are heavy, and it's a riot song basically. It's as we said. I was thinking, we have like we have Jeff on vocals. It can be, he's a true lion, and we've got Paolo on drums. He's a metal machine. We have David on bass. Iconic metal bass player. And we wanted to pay tribute to Lemmy. So, I'm a big Motorhead fan. I saw them like 22 times. So let's go with Snakes and Bastards. And that song turned out to be one of my favorite songs of the entire Unbreakable album, Snakes and Bastards.
It's a huge honor for me to be part of the band. And, having David on bass is always a huge inspiration for me. His playing is tight and powerful, and we lock in very naturally, And also there is Jeff's vocal lines and Andy's guitars, and both of them bring such an incredible musicality to the table that as a drummer, it just becomes easy and natural to find the right part to play.
It's Over, man. I really love this song. It's especially because this is definitely one that I wrote lyrically as a triple entendre. Once again, these guys they don't send me empty canvases. David sent me some lyrics. I loved where it was going, and I took it to 2 other places. Clearly, when you read this one, you're naturally going to think, once again, it's about our former bosses or former bandmates, etc. Or it could actually be about a relationship, because when you say it's over, when I say it's over, it's a statement. It could be a statement regarding employment, it could be a statement regarding a relationship, and it could be a statement regarding life in general, because there are too many people in the world that try to tell you what you have to do, what you're going to do, and at some point you got to put your foot down and say, no, I'm going to call the shots. It's over when I say it's over. That's what this song is about.
This idea hit me that, Rome wasn't built in a day, if you will, right? That, young people, I think when we're young, we think we're invincible. We can do anything, that the rules don't apply. And hey, check this out. This is the day we built Rome, right? Like to me, it felt more like a young I don't know, EDM, electronic, like, young kids partying to young music kind of vibe. And I think it's got a young sound to it. It's got a great spirit to it. The last thing I want is for my rock and roll to sound old, tired, and dated. I love coming up with new things. I think in our band, we have that feeling. There's a nice spread of our ages in the group. And also culturally, between Jeff being Puerto Rican, American, I'm American, the Italian contingent with Andy and Paolo. I feel like we've got a really well-versed sort of collage of the cultures that come together. And speaking of the Italians, The Day We Built Rome, I think, is a perfect play to them and what they bring to the table.
So yeah, we decided to do the song Death on Two Legs from Queen. I got a call from David saying, "Hey Jeff, what would you think if we actually did a cover of the song?" He knows how much I love Queen, so he already knew the answer. He knew I was going to say yes with huge enthusiasm, because I've always wanted to sing that song, cover that song in a way that honors and tributes Freddie and what the others in Queen were able to pull off, especially back then. We have technology to do it these days, but what they were able to do back then was just phenomenal. So the fact that we were doing a kind of updated metallic version of that song I was so excited about it. And that's kind of what was kind of the springboard of us doing a second Ellefson-Soto record. It started with that song, and then David just started sending me songs that he was working with Andy here in London at Alessio's studio. They were working a bunch of stuff just on our downtime. After we did the tour, after we did the first album, they still got together and they just started crafting a bunch of songs. And next thing you know, they had another full album's worth of material. I think I did double the amount of backing vocals that I normally would do on a regular Ellefson-Soto song, just because I wanted that reinforcement of the hugeness, the big sound, the choir sound that Queen were always able to get. But again, without doing too much to it, that it didn't sound as raw and more organic that we discussed that we were going to do that song.
Killjoy, bad guy.